Go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started. We have two special presentations. We if some of you remember the 99 cent movie, they had double features. We have a double feature tonight. So we want to go ahead and get started. I would like to call this meeting to order. Next slide, please. Our mission. The Fairfax County NAACP is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization whose mission is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, educational, and economic security of Black people and all people of color. Next slide, please. We will start with our prayer. Do we have Chair Pat here or someone who's representing the Religious Affairs Committee?
Hi, President Nikki. This is Pat. Let us look to the Lord. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for gathering us today in unity and purpose. We ask for your wisdom to guide our discussions, your courage to strengthen our voices, and your compassion to shape our actions as we work for justice and equity in our community. Bless this Fairfax NAACP membership, our leaders, and all who serve. May our efforts reflect your love and bring about meaningful change. It is in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Next slide, please. President's report. Well, I don't have a lot, so I'm not going to keep you all, but we do have a few announcements. I'm going to let the committee chairs discuss our upcoming gala. That is for October 10th, 2025. Tickets are on sale now. If you sell merchandise, we have vendor applications on our site. We also have sponsorship opportunities. And of course, ticket sales are 150, but Miss Lenore, I'm sorry, not Miss Lenore. Uh, VP Spain will speak more on that. We have, let me see. We also have our upcoming scholarship breakfast coming up June 6th. June 6th, as you all know, we give out about 5 to 6 scholarships a year since we lost our president, Michelle Lee. We have a scholarship in her name and in her honor. We are having a scholarship brunch June 6th at the Gum Springs Community Center, where we will be honoring our winners of our scholarship. We will also have guest speakers. We will have the school superintendent, Dr. Reed, here. We will have some school board members. We will have community members. The seating is limited, so we ask that you register if you want to come. The food is free. It is free to you, but it is not free to us. So what we are asking is anyone who comes, if you can bring a small token to the graduates. We have about 7 or 8 coming. If you all can bring some little tokens, maybe a $10 gift card for each of them, that would be greatly appreciated. We want to send them off to college with something um, that they can at least get through half the first semester. So that's one of the goals that we have. And I believe Daryl Allen, who is the chair for our scholarship committee, he could speak more on that. We have our town hall coming up June 18th with the superintendent. That will be in person. So if you all want to ask the hard-hitting questions to our school superintendent, Dr. Reed, we will be having a town hall um, June 18th, and our chair, our education chair can speak more to that. Now, I know tonight belongs to the AKAs. However, I would be remiss if I did not show you all what your hard work has done for our branch. We have been honored with an award from Delta Sigma Theta. the Fairfax County Alumni Chapter 2026 Program Planning and Development Award, presented to NAACP Fairfax County, exemplary service, enduring commitment, meaningful change. And this came from the alumni chapter of the Fairfax Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for all the hard work that our branch has done. And all of you should be proud that you played a role in it. Every time we volunteer in the community, we can rely on our membership to come and help and assist and set up tables. Um, so that is your award as well. Um, we also submitted our name and our likeness for the Tallhammer Award and the Publication Award. And I will have Secretary Mike O'Brien talk about the Tallhammer Award and Chair Michelle Pulliam to talk about the Publication Award. We don't really hear from her a lot, so this is her time to talk about the Publication Award. When you all see our newsletters, when you all see our social media content as active and engaging as we are, what you're seeing is a tag team of Chair Michelle and Chair Simmons who keep our social media thriving, who keep us relevant, who keep us um, in the know with the community. So it'll be nice to hear from Chair Michelle. Is she on right now? Is she on? Okay, maybe she'll
Yeah,
jump on a
yes, she is, President Zimmerman.
okay.
I
So,
am. Hear me?
all right. So when we start talking about the Tall Harmer and the publication, I'll let you talk about the publication and Mike can talk about the Tall Harmer portion. Um, so without further ado, we are going to move on to our secretary's report. Secretary O'Brien?
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted that the minutes from last month's meeting were able to be published through the most recent announcement of this meeting. And I would simply like to ask for a motion and a second for those to be approved, or if there are any corrections, I'd like to hear those as well. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from last month's NAACP meeting.
Second.
Mr. LaShockley, I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. President Zimmerman, you want to call?
Yes, sir. All in favor of accepting the minutes as they are presented from last month, say aye by show of hands.
Aye.
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 All opposed? Nay.
Mhm.
Any discussion? Any abstentions? The ayes have them. Thank you.
Do you want me to then talk about the Tallheimers now or later?
You can do the round table and the Tallhammer.
Okay, so right. So to talk about the roundtable, that is a group, an equity, an inclusion group created by the Fairfax County government to ensure that all the policies of the county are and all the decisions made by the county are made equitably and with an inclusive focus. I serve on that roundtable, the Fairfax County roundtable, and we have another member of our executive committee who serves on one of the subcommittees. We are in the process of revamping our charter and our policies for how we accept suggestions on what we should be looking at. So we're kind of in a rebuild mode, I guess you'd say. We're not taking any new recommendations, but I'm hoping by October we'll have all of that worked out. And I know that several members of our chapter have already put in several recommendations about things that they think we should be looking at. So hopefully we'll be able to get that work going by the time this other internal work is done. So that's where we are with the roundtable. With the Tallheimer Award, this will be now my third attempt to get the branch a Tallheimer. The first one was in 2018. We were successful. Second one was in 2024. We were also successful. I'm going for the third time around now, and it's a very different process now. And that is why we called in the superior skills of Michelle Pulliam, our communications chair, because it's become more of a multimedia uh, uh, presentation rather than simply a write-up. My skills are in writing, not in multimedia. So I help put together all of the wonderful activities and achievements of the branch in writing, and then Michelle Pulliam pulled them together into a major multimedia presentation. I think at one of our meetings we should actually show the whole presentation. It's such a phenomenal thing. But I'll turn it over now to Michelle Pulliam to talk about her piece, because there are two pieces to the Tallheimer. There are programs like you just heard President Zimmerman talking about, which we excel at. But there's also one for publications and outreach to the public, which is what you also heard her talk about regarding our social media, but not just that, our newsletters, our publications that we do for the gala, all that stuff comes under scrutiny. And I think we have a really good chance at winning in both of those categories. So Michelle Pulliam, do you want to take over?
Hi, Mike. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I had no idea I was speaking tonight, but here I am. But like Mike said, just to piggyback off of what he said, it's just accumulation of all of the things we did from May last year to May of this year. It was a task indeed, but one worth doing it. It was my honor indeed to do it and showcase all the great work that our communities have done over the past year. I always say, I work in the background, and I just tell everyone about all the good stuff and all the great things that our chairs and the committees do. So basically, like Mike said, they went over to a visual, um, um, well, format this year rather. And so, I did what I love to do. I'm a visual storyteller. And so it was fun. It was a task, indeed, like I said, but it was fun and I enjoyed it. And it was just awesome just to see the great work that, we as a branch have done for the community. And we couldn't do it without you all, our partners, our members. And so we just thank you all as well. Thank you.
Perfect.
Any questions for Secretary O'Brien or Chair Michelle before we move forward? Hearing no questions. Next slide, please. Now we will have our treasurer's report. Is Erica or Monique on?
Hi, I'm here. Allow me one moment and I'll share my screen. Okay. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to briefly give an update on our 4 accounts. The first one is our operating account, which currently sits at $41,707.83. The second one is our restricted funds account. This money is earmarked for grants. It currently sits at $44,019.50. Next, we have our youth council or scholarship account, which is at $14,485.09. And lastly, our Freedom Fund account, which is currently at $23,901. So all of our accounts are currently in good standing. If there's any questions, I can take those now. All right. If
Thank
not, I'll
you.
turn it back over to you, President.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to start with our budget chair.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Since our last general meeting in April, I wanted to recap what transpired with the Fairfax County FY 2027 budget. That $6 billion budget was adopted on May 7th. The major outcomes from that budget were that, first of all, the real estate tax rate was reduced by 1/4 cent to $1.12 per $1,000 of assessed value. However, most will see their real estate taxes increase if the assessed value of their homes increased from last year. Stated that on average, it would be about $337 increase for the average homeowner in Fairfax County. The housing area and our, work on affordable housing was one of the items that the branch advocated for, along with other organizations in Fairfax County, with the goal for 10,000 units by 2034. What the Board of Supervisors approved was the branch asked for a 3/4 cent increase towards the goal of 2 cents per dollar to help achieve this goal. There was some progress as the Board of Supervisors did increase the tax by 1/4 penny. So that total now is 1.5 cents. So this equated to an increase of about $53 million in total for FY 2027. So moving in the right direction, but not really at the rate that we'd all hope for. One of the good outcomes of the Board of Supervisors approval was a $5.5 million increase for funding for emergency rent, utility, and food assistance, which there's a group of people in our county are suffering, and of course these additional monies are very helpful. We, as a organization with the criminal justice group, had worked with the county officials running the co-responders and mobile crisis units, which support police in situations where people are in mental state of a mental crisis when police are called, and the goal of having crisis workers intervene to help people and assistance on a peaceful basis. So again, in the current economic environment, we were successful in retaining or defending the positions of the funding for those programs. We were happy about that, since there had been talk about those funds being cut. The education budget of $4 billion was adopted last week on May 21st. We, the branch, had advocated for full funding. Specifically, we've been supporters of the unions and the collective bargaining that was agreed to last year, and this was the second year of that. So the good news is that the funding for the contractual increases were approved and are funded, despite the fact there's still this $29 million funding gap, which the hope is the state's General Assembly still has not made its decisions on transfers to the various counties throughout the state. That'll be settled sometime in June. So the hope is that additional monies will come to help close the gap for the schools. Moving forward, the fiscal year for Fairfax County ends at the end of June. We entered this new fiscal year July 1st. Once that 2026 is over, our work will then turn to trying to make inroads into any funds that are left over what are known as carryover funds from 2026 to see whether there are projects or programs that we support that we can get the Board of Supervisors in the month of September to approve. So we'll be working on that and with the various committees internally in our branch going forward over the next couple of months. And that's my report for this evening.
Thank you. We will move to criminal justice.
Hey everyone. So the bulk of CJ's efforts in the past few months have been working with George Mason University on their recent just-in-time job fair. This was an event that they were already holding that we partnered with them on. With the one of our main goals was to provide opportunities for those who've been involved in the criminal justice system. So we had this event this past month. We worked with OAR, a group that works with returning citizens, with people who've been involved in the justice system, criminal justice system, to get them out to the event. So myself, President Zimmerman, and former President Camplin handled check-in at the event. So for community members, so people who are not associated with George Mason, they sent them our way for check-in. So we got a good feel for kind of who was coming into the event and everything. And we had about 30 people check in. Some are from our sign-up form. Some seem to be from some of our community outreach, and some are kind of George Mason, kind of not students, but they knew someone or whatever. So I think overall, we had a fairly successful event. A number of people were interested in internships with us. We're still trying to assess how well we did in terms of providing opportunities. People who are involved in the criminal justice system. I'm going to be sending out a survey in the near term to people that signed up with us and people who signed up at the event. This is kind of a different sort of event for us. In the past, we've done second chance jobs fairs, which are strictly for folks who've been involved in the criminal justice system. This was kind of a different approach, I suppose, where we kind of teamed up with a pre-existing job fair to provide opportunities for folks. So less resources specifically for those people, but perhaps GMU going to attract different employers and things like that. So potentially different opportunities that were available than might have been at a second chance specific job fair that we might have held with some of our other partners. So a lot of lessons learned for us. I think it's been a while since we've kind of been involved in one of these job fairs. We got a lot of we did not add a ton of companies for this event, but we got a huge list of people who are interested in events in the future, similar job fairs in the future. This date was not particularly good for a lot of the companies we reached out to, but was promising to hear that they were interested in future events. And that's our CJ's report for the month. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
I get unmuted. Thank you. Economic Development, Chair America.
Good evening, everyone. This year, 2026, we're planting seeds. We're exploring possible partnerships that will lead to projects, we hope, initiatives that will stimulate new businesses, new investment, new jobs in the lower income areas of the county, and also help some existing businesses grow. So we've had, within the last 30 days, conversations with the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and we'll have follow-ups with them, with the Southeast Fairfax Development Corporation, with the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce, and with George Mason's Small Business Development Center. So that's a process. They are all potential partners, and we will be having conversations while they mull it over and decide what, if anything, they want to do with us. Basically, what we're saying to them is, how can we help you with your existing programs and target them in mostly in the southern part of the county and some other neighborhoods as well. And as I've mentioned before, we've had some discussions with a couple of community centers about the potential incubator projects. They have proposals now, and so it's now the ball's in their court. Their staff and their boards will decide what, if anything, they want to do, and we'll take it as they reach a decision about incubators. That's it for this month.
Thank you. We will move on to education.
Hi, good evening. Um, so we currently have a pretty busy month this month, and I know that Daryl, he's on here, or he's on the call, I'm thinking, so he'll talk more about the
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
so
I'm here.
okay, great. Okay, so the other event that we have is the Fairfax County Public School Superintendents Forum. And I know we've mentioned it several times. It is upcoming on June the 18th, which is a Thursday, from 6:30 until 8 o'clock p.m. And we're hoping that many of the members will be able to join us and participate. The space that we're using is going to be at the administration building for Fairfax County Public Schools. So I'm sure many of you know where it is. Uh, it will be, if it's not already up on the website, we're working with communications. Michelle is going to help us post the information. Please register because we really do want a full capacity that evening. The superintendent will be there, and she's going to have several of her, and Nikki, correct me with the term, is it district superintendents that will be attending with her, the ones who are, the regional ones who are right under her that report to her.
Yes, region superintendents.
Okay, okay, so they will be there as well, and there will be a component where the audience will be able to ask questions. Um, It's going to be co-facilitated by two of the committee members who are currently working within the school system. And last week we did meet to talk about the planning, the type of information and the format, all of the things that they need for that day. Uh, uh, Les Shockley, he joined us as well so that we can understand the component of the budget and the role it plays, and so they can formulate their questions regarding the budget. Um, and Les, thank you for sending that additional information, the budget, on to me because I did forward it to Chris and to Elena. Those are the two that will be co-facilitating. It will be in a town hall format. So they're telling us that 100 people uh, could fit for a town hall format. However, he did mention that there is standing room as well. So we're hoping that, we have folks there that will fill that particular event. I think is really important. And I believe it's going to be a really good and lively event. If there are any questions regarding this event prior to the information being placed on the website, please don't hesitate to send me an email and I can trying my very best to get the answers that you need. Are there any questions? Okay, well, then that's it for me, Nikki.
Okay, we can move on to Daryl Allen.
Okay. Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Daryl, the chair of the scholarship committee, which in reality is just a subset of the educational committee. But as President Nikki already announced at the beginning of the beginning of this meeting, is that we're going to have our scholarship winner celebration Saturday, June the 6th from 11 to 12. It's going to be at the Gum Springs Community Center. It's going to be catered. It's going to be excellent food there. Of course, it's going to be brunch items like bacon, eggs, and we also going to have shrimp, grits, and some other items as well. We do have a few slots still available. I think last time I counted, it's around 9. I put the link in the chat. So if you would like to attend, please register now. And as President Nikki also said in the opening too, if you could, the event is free. The food is going to be free. But if you could bring like a $10 gift card or anything of that nature just for the scholarship winners to have for them to have, that would be that'd be appreciated as well. So I just want to let you know we're going to give out 6 $1,000 scholarships, and the plan was to give out 2 $500 scholarships, but when we got the results back from the educational committee who scored all the applicants, we had 2 applicants that had a score of 79. It was a tie. And so we chose 3 people to award $500 scholarships. So as of right now, we're just still working on the logistics of making sure that the checks go out to those students. But as of right now, our concentration is on the Michelle Lee celebration brunch. And as President Nikki said again, we're going to have the superintendent there, and we're going to have some other, I guess, local dignitaries that will also be present along with the winners. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know now. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we have our health committee. Is Chair McQuay in? Going once, going twice. Okay. Fair and affordable housing. Chair Payton? Is anyone from housing here tonight? Going once, going twice. She'll probably come in a little late and then we will circle back. Now we will move to Freedom Fund. I believe there'll be VP Spain. Can you do Freedom Fund and when?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'll start with when. There are no updates other than the fact that we plan on hosting an event where we will show a movie. It's either going to be The Invisible Warriors, which we're still trying to get money from various people to help sponsor, or it will be about the first nurses in the military. Either one, there'll be free events, and information is forthcoming in the future. As far as Freedom Fund, pretty exciting news. Before I begin, I'll start with the tickets are $180. The last date to purchase a ticket will be September 10th. The event is October 10th, 2026 at the Fairview Marriott in Falls Church from 5:30 to 9:30. The theme is unmasking greatness. Excuse me. Unmasking greatness, and everybody should come in a mask, and Bridgerton is the theme that we're going with. And one of our esteemed members of the Freedom Fund team, Miss Danielle, is going to come up with a contest that will, I'm not sure, I won't give the rules yet, but the contest, it will be fun. Last year we did the Freedom Fund, and we had a sneaker ball, and we judged who had the best sneakers or the fanciest sneakers. men and women. So we'll have something very similar this year. The other thing I wanted to share is if anyone is interested in being a vendor or have an ad placed, again, those deadlines are 8/1. And the reason our deadlines are so tight is we want to put together the program. We're going to have a QR code. We're going to have a couple of printed brochures, but it takes time for our communications persons to put the paperwork together, get the pictures, get the ads, to do the presentation that we're going to have during the ceremony. So we decided that it was fair to them to stop the process early on so they could have enough time to develop a beautiful program that will be presented that night. Our awardees have already been selected. Let me see. Hold on one second. I know we have Jumi Olabanji from Channel 4. We have for community service for an outstanding youth. We have Camden Parker, a young Girl Scout. For churches who give back to the community, we have Grace Loves. They do a magnificent job. For lifetime achievement is pretty spectacular. And our winner for that is going to be Sheila Coates. And then we'll have a couple of certificates that we're going to give to the D9, HBCU, and the Legislative Black Caucus. So we have I did not tell you the best part is Roland Martin will be the keynote speaker. At this time, we are in the process of interviewing various people to be the MC. So by this time next month, we should have a name that we can say we're complete with our program, and then we'll start to put the agenda together. Are there any questions that you might have of me? If not, feel free to reach out, Freedom Fund Committee, and we'd be happy to work with you moving forward. Again, if you have an ad or if you know of vendors, please let us know. We have some forms for them to fill out, but the deadline will be 8/1. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to you, President Nikki.
Yes, ma'am. We will go to legal redress. Did Reese, is Reese in here yet? Okay, she's coming in. We'll do membership last, as you all will be starting us off with the winners of our challenge. So we will go to political action.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update from PAC. We had a pretty eventful and a lot of activities during the spring. For summer, we are planning to host several voter registration drives throughout the county. And if you are aware of any community activities, forums that are out there that we could attend to have a voter registration drive, please contact me and we will see if we're able to come out. Also, for this summer, we are planning a couple of candidate forums for the candidates who will be on the August 4th primary ballot. So look out for that information. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Religious affairs.
Hi, good evening again, everyone. We're coming down the stretch toward our 5th annual Juneteenth program and ice cream social, which will take place on Saturday, June the 13th at 3:00 p.m. at Bull Run Regional Park next to Atlantis Water Park, where we'll then walk on down to the historic Harris Family Cemetery to highlight local Black history and honor the legacy of the formerly enslaved people buried there. We'll also have a RSVP sign up for any of you who are planning on attending. I'll post that link in the chat. If you're available and would like to help us spruce up the grounds ahead of the event, please join us this Saturday, May 30th anytime between 8 a.m. and 12 noon. Feel free to arrive and leave at your convenience. We truly appreciate any time you can give. I will share that volunteer sign up link in the chat as well. And by the way, the installation of the new pathway at the cemetery is now complete and it looks wonderful. Congratulations to Girl Scout Camden Parker, a candidate for the Girl Scout Gold Award for her outstanding work on this project. Special thanks as well to Religious Affairs member John Dister for his support as advisor and mentor to Ms. Parker. And lastly, I want to invite you to join us for a fun and uplifting day at the ballpark. The Washington Nationals will hold its annual Faith Day at Nationals Park as the Washington Nationals take on the Cincinnati Reds on Saturday, August the 8th at 6:45 p.m. This is a wonderful opportunity for fellowship and enjoying an exciting evening of baseball together. Please look for additional details in social media posts and our next newsletter. So that's it for me. Thanks, everybody. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. We are going to circle back to, I think we have, legal redress is coming on, but in the meantime, we would do community update. So we have Brother Ransom from the Phi Beta, nope, not Phi Beta Sigma. What are the Q dogs? I'm sorry.
Omega Sci-Fi
Omega
Incorporated.
Sci-Fi. Thank you. Any updates from the community?
No,
Hello? Brother Ransom? Okay. Um, let's just move forward. Anybody else from the community who needs to, we have we have a guest, special guest. We have Darylyn Franklin, the president of the Alexandria NAACP branch. I'd like to welcome her and see if
Good
we have
evening,
any
everyone.
updates from Alexandria and how we can support.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me today. Nikki, is there anything you want me to, anything
Oh, any
else?
updates for Alexandria?
Our Freedom Fund is October 1st. But nothing, we are hosting and I wanted to know if Fairfax County would like to be involved in a Virginia District 8 candidates forum at Shiloh Baptist Church here in Alexandria, Virginia. But I can talk to your, I guess,
Our
political
political
action
action
chair.
chair, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
something we'll talk about offline.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else from the community before we move forward? Anybody else? I'm trying to kill some time while we're waiting for legal redress. Okay, Miss Faith Blackburn Proctor.
Good evening, everyone. Faith Blackburn Proctor, National Board Member for NAACP. Wanted to, hopefully everyone received a note that NAACP will be hosting an Out of Bounds campaign. And I'm looking for the date. It will be this Thursday, May 28th at 8 p.m. This will talk about the program that President Johnson has initiated starting last week, dealing with those student athletes to consider another option other than attending a SEC school. I will forward this to you so it can go out to the masses if you haven't already received it. That's all I have. And thank you for letting me be here, joining the meeting.
Absolutely. I see we have third Region 3 VP, Ms. Karen Camblin.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give an update that we had our session for the resolutions in DC a couple weeks ago, and we went through we went through 215 resolutions. We didn't get an opportunity to complete all of them because there were so many and there was such wonderful conversation about it. Um, but our resolutions covered everything from civil rights, environmental and climate justice, education, justice reform, veteran affair, health, education. It covered a wide gamut of all of the issues that the various branches and youth and college divisions across the country that submitted, and we also had resolutions that were submitted by staff and President and CEO Derek Johnson. There were a few, I would say maybe about 50 or so, we didn't get a chance to review, and those went directly to the National Board. The National Board had their meeting last weekend, and they are now I believe most of them, I haven't received a list of what passed through the board, but the ones that did pass through the board, and maybe board member Proctor would be able to provide any correction if I misspeak. The board submitted everything over to staff, and then they're finalizing the resolution packet that delegates will be voting on at the annual convention in Chicago in a few weeks. But yeah, so that's all I have to say at this time.
Yeah. Ms. Karen, thank you. I'll just say that it was a long meeting, but 215 resolutions that were submitted from units across the country. And I think you are correct that there were maybe about 50 of them that were sent to the board of directors to process and to vote on. And so those that were, as they come through final edits, will be presented at the convention in July on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday morning. It's all day resolutions. But again, they had several resolutions running the gamut of health, all of our main issues. I'm not going to run through all of them, but there are some that were outstanding that come to my mind, and I just lost it at this moment. So senior moment, but again, if I do get an update, I'll certainly share them with you, Miss Karen. I don't remember seeing you, but yeah. Because I know we had several health resolutions. We had several on criminal justice, voting rights. We had several on economic development. Those were key uh, resolutions. So I trust that it will be a robust resolution um, session that we have in July. And also, if I may, Madam President, if you are aware or not aware, the sessions, the annual conventions will look different moving forward. We will have I think it's even years, it will be AXO and NAACP. In odd years, and I could be reversing this, it will be AXO and just legislative sessions. And that is in hopes to shorten the amount of time and money that it's inputted for these conventions to save funds for the association. So stay tuned for that. And again, if I get some additional information as to how it will look, I'll certainly share that with you. And I'll drop my contact information in the chat if anybody has any questions, or you feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna just go ahead and get started. Our legal redress chair should be logging on soon enough, but we're gonna go ahead and without further ado, hand it over to our membership chair, Mr. Jesse Ernest.
Yes, hi everybody. Good evening. Jesse Ernest here. Before I get to the main reason we're here, right, is our special guest, Ms. Lynbea Toombs, to talk for a few minutes with her presentation. I wanted to reference two things. First, as always, many of you perhaps are on the call for the first time, so I want to say welcome. And many of you who've joined our chapter, a special welcome to each of you. I know Sydney, there's reference in the chat, so we all recognize you're out there. We're giving you a wave. I would also like to say that for most of us, in order to become active, is the way that you stay engaged. And so for every chairperson on the call who's looking for new members, if you could put your information in the chat, soliciting new members here for your committees, that would be fantastic. I know we need some new members on our committee, so I will do that in just a few minutes. Second item for me is just as far as upcoming events are concerned. So Juneteenth events, one was already referenced, the 5th annual Bull Run event. The second one I want to reference is the 2nd annual Juneteenth event being held at First Baptist Church, also on June 13th. And so just to put that out there as well for those of you who are able to attend that event. And then let's get right to the point here. So as we get ready for the presentation, if somebody could bring that up, I'll just say a few introductory words. We're excited that this month we are proud to recognize the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Alpha Beta Alpha Omega chapter, as the winner of our 3rd annual Black Greek Letter Organization Legacy Membership Challenge. And so congratulations, everybody give a hand to the AKAs on the call here. That's fantastic. And what they have won, first of all, is $650 scholarship for programming, an information table to be displayed at our gala in October, a reference feature article in our June newsletter, and then the opportunity to address the audience here tonight. This challenge was created to strengthen support for our NAACP's strategic priorities while honoring the longstanding impact of Black Greek letter organizations and their commitment to service in our communities. We're grateful for the Alpha, Beta, Alpha, Omega chapters partnership and dedication as we continue working together to make Fairfax County a better place to live, work, and thrive. And so I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. President Lynbea Toombs to talk about food insecurity in South Fairfax County.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for that introduction. Good evening to Madam President Nikki Zimmerman and to all of the members of the Fairfax County NAACP. As Jesse mentioned, my name is Lynbea Toombs, and I have the distinct honor of serving as the president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated's Alpha Beta Alpha Omega chapter, which services the areas of Springfield and Lorton, Virginia. So I am very excited to be here with you all this evening, and on behalf of the members of the Alpha Beta Alpha Omega chapter, we extend our sincere thanks to you all for the opportunity to be able to present tonight as this year's Black Greek Letter Organization Membership Challenge winners. So we're incredibly proud of our shared commitment to civil rights, community advocacy, and community engagement and outreach. And I'd like to take this moment to just thank and recognize my fellow chapter members and sorority sisters, family members who are here in attendance tonight, supporting the partnership between Alpha Kappa Alpha and the Fairfax County NAACP. So to get us started, to truly understand the engine behind our local service, you have to understand the legacy of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is an international service organization that was founded January 15th, 1908 on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. And we have the distinct honor of being the first and oldest Black Greek letter organization established by African American college-educated women. So what started with 9 visionary women over 100 years ago, has blossomed into a very powerful global sisterhood focused on service to all mankind, with over 380,000 members operating across over 1,000 graduate and undergraduate chapters, and in 13 countries and territories and counting all around the world. So right here in Northern Virginia, our global mission has been executed with excellence at the local level amongst our sister chapters in Fairfax County. And our chapter, if you could go to the next slide, was chartered on December 5th, 2021, and we have mobilized a force of over 140 college-educated professional women who are deeply committed to cultivating our motto, service to all mankind, right here in our own backyard. So tonight, I'm honored to share with you how this international legacy is taking an issue that sits at the exact intersection of economic equity, racial justice, and basic human dignity, the right to food. And we're going to discuss food insecurity right here in Fairfax County. Next slide. So for Alpha Kappa Alpha, fighting hunger isn't just a modern trend. So part of our history, it's part of our DNA. In the 1930s, during the height of the Great Depression and the Jim Crow South, our sisterhood launched the Mississippi Health Project. And our corporate members in the sorority didn't just provide medicine, they recognized that malnutrition was a root and key cause of systemic illness among Black sharecropping families. So we built a legacy of addressing the whole person, each individual within the Black community. And so fast forward to today, here we are in 2026 under the visionary leadership of our international president and CEO, Miss Dinette Anthony Reed, and our sisterhood is soaring to greater heights of service and sisterhood. And a part of that current international administration, our childhood and community nutrition initiatives are strategically housed under the Empower Our Families Program initiative. So it is through that framework that our chapter has carried out the historic torch that we carry today, delivering targeted, localized nutrition programs that protect our most vulnerable families and build long-term community resilience. So within Fairfax County, where, as you all know, Fairfax County is frequently celebrated as one of the wealthiest jurisdictions in the United States of America. And that wealth is often a camouflage for the issues that are impacting our communities and that often disproportionately impact Black people or people of color. So according to the Capital Area Food Bank Hunger Report in 2025, 26% of Fairfax County residents have experienced food insecurity. That's more than 1 in 4 people within our neighborhoods. So here's a critical piece for you all to keep in mind, that 77% of those who are experiencing hunger and food insecurity are fully employed on a full-time scale. So these are working individuals, some who have families with an average income of about $57,000 for a family of 3, trying to survive in a region where the actual living wage for a family of 4 is $143,300. So the math is not mathing, as the kids say today. It just simply does not work. So since 2020, our local inflation and cost of living has skyrocketed by 21%, while the average wages only crept up by about 6%. So when life becomes 21% more expensive, but your paycheck only grows 6%, then families are forced to make trade-offs that are often impossible to make, and they have to choose between paying their mortgage, having some housing, or buying groceries. And that is a structural gap that our chapter and our sorority is stepping in to fill. Next slide, please. There we go. Okay. So when we look a little bit deeper into going past the generalized wealth within Fairfax County, and we start looking at the data in a little bit more of a broken down, segmented way. In that same 2025 report from the Capital Area Food Bank, we can see the true demographics that face this crisis. So within our county borders, this is just within Fairfax County, white residents make up 33% of the food insecure population. Hispanic residents represent 30%, and other groups make up about 21%, while Black residents account for 12%. So if you look at this really closely, the systemic reality behind that 12% is very important for us to highlight, because Black residents only make up about 10% of the population in Fairfax County. That means that when we look at our population, Black people in Fairfax County are disproportionately impacted by an overrepresentation of 20% relative to our actual size in the county. Our community as Black people, people of color, is bearing a heavier share of this economic crisis within the county. This variance is often driven by the hidden economic squeeze within the workforce, where pay disparities also exist within our county as well. So when all of the corporate downsizing, the regional shifts with the layoffs of over 300,000 Black women in 2025, these challenges are hitting very, very close to home and are impacting people's ability to be able to provide food for themselves and their families. Any interruption in that professional income just instantly threatens a family's stability. So that is exactly why Alpha Beta Alpha Omega and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated have been so intentional with our footprint in trying to close that gap. And we focus our energy as a chapter on the Springfield and Lorton areas, because we know where that economic pressure points, where those economic pressure points exist, and we're working to try to close that gap. Next slide. Right. So a little bit about one of our programs that we have. So Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated under this administration has a program called the CHIP program, which stands for the Childhood Hunger Initiative Power Pack program. And through this program, we provide snacks and meals, so usually breakfast and lunch, for elementary schoolers on weekends and holidays. So every weekend throughout the academic year and every extended break, whether that's spring break or a holiday break, we provide food and meals for those students within our service area. So because we know the data, we don't just guess where to help. We actually go look at the numbers. We go look at our Title I schools in Fairfax County to see where the disparities are within our service area, because again, there are some disparities there. There are some schools, some communities that are disproportionately impacted, even within just Springfield and Lorton, the areas that we serve. And we've decided that as an organization, we're not going to let our local children bear that brunt of the economic shifts. We're going to try to do our part to fill the gap where we can. So since 2023, our chapter has stepped in to provide that consistent weekend nutrition through our CHIP initiative, committing to ensuring that a minimum of 10 students are targeted each year to make sure that they have the benefit of being able to participate in this program. So we started launching this program as a foundational school-based partnership back in 2023 at Lynbrook Elementary School in Springfield. And then in 2024, we partnered with Forestdale Elementary in Springfield, Virginia as well. And for the last 2 years, 2025 and currently in 2026, we've established a strategic partnership with the Lorton Community Action Center to ensure that students whose parents are registered in their homebound program are able to benefit from this service as well. So we're making sure that the children in our community are fueled, they're nourished, and they're ready to learn when Monday morning arrives. So we've learned a lot about what's impacting our community, the types of foods that they are requesting. So even within our communities, there's a lot of diversity across religions, across backgrounds, across cultures. of the constituents that we are servicing. And so we've had to make adjustments to the offerings that we are able to provide to ensure that the food we're providing is something that they can actually eat. Next slide, please. All right, so additionally, we also go beyond the steps of the elementary schoolers, and we also recognize that hunger follows our children into adolescence, which is why we actively manage and fill the food pantries at South County Middle School and South County High School. So we also believe in making sure that we're strengthening the existing community infrastructures that keep our families afloat. Through our large-scale food drives, we've consistently supplied food to local pantries like Echo in Springfield, Virginia, Victory Temple in Lorton, and the Lorton Community Action Center itself through their annual holiday drives, through their back-to-school drives, and things of that nature. And so because of that service footprint in our area that borders a major military installation, we recognize that our service members are also not immune to these economic pressures. So this past fall, our chapter also mobilized to host a dedicated food drive for our soldiers stationed at Fort Belvoir so that we can ensure that those who protect our nation have their basic needs met right here at home as well. Next slide, please. So the 140 members of Alpha Beta Alpha Omega chapter, we're incredibly proud of the work that we have built in just we are a chapter that is only 4.5 years old. We will be 5 in December. And we have done so much, and we're very proud of that work, but the work is far from finished. There is so much more to be done, and food insecurity is a structural failure, and it requires a very structural response. And as the NAACP continues to do its very vital work advocating for civil, systemic, and economic equity, please know that your sisters in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated are standing shoulder to shoulder with you on the front lines, and we're ready to continue working together to make sure that our communities are fed, that our children are fed, that we're building a fairer, more sustainable, and equitable Fairfax County together. So thank you again for the opportunity to present this evening and share a little bit more about one of our initiatives under this current administration in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the impact we've been able to make in our 5 years of existence as a chapter. So thank you so much. Back to you, President Zimmerman.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Madam President?
I have a question. This is Jesse. The thank you was fantastic. I learned a great deal. And a question I have is, are you able to focus your resources towards people of color in particular, or is it any students that, enter? Talk about that if you would. Thanks.
Yes, so actually we have been able to, because when we're doing the research for the schools, we look at the Title I schools, and we also try to look at the demographics to try to see what the largest makeup is of people of color, because as we know, they are disproportionately impacted by this. And so we work with the school counselors to pull out that need, and often, unfortunately, it does tend to lean our way for a good amount of those schools. But one issue that we face is, given the notoriety of the area, sometimes even with those Title I schools and the ones who are not, they wouldn't participate. The students, we couldn't get their parents to participate because of not wanting to feel like they're getting a handout, not wanting. So the chip bags that we give out, they are actually green and they say chip on them. So we ran into a little bit of an issue when we were partnering with the elementary schools, because a group of students, a smaller group of students would have these green bags and other students would want them, or they would want to be a little bit more discreet about carrying the bag because they didn't want other people to know that they were experiencing issues with hunger. So we did run into some issues, but we have been able to target people of color, Black students in particular, through our research of the schools that we have in the area. Yeah.
Any other questions? You can place it in the chat or just come off mute and ask it.
Second. Hey, everybody. I have our chair, Mary Payton, on the line. She had a doctor's appointment earlier, so she's recouping from that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put her on speakerphone, and she's gonna give us a you want me, huh? Uh, I'm gonna put her on speakerphone, and she's gonna give us a brief update on her committee. All right, hold on one second, Mary.
Thank you again, Professor Toombs. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Congratulations.
I did have a question, President
hold on.
Zimmerman, if we're
I was getting ready to put Mary on, but do you have a question for the AKAs?
yeah, for Mrs. Toombs, yes. I was just
Yes.
going to ask, you said that you all have been around for 5 years and there are other chapters within this Fairfax County, is that correct? And how do you
Yes, yes,
determine who works with who?
Yes, so we actually separate by various areas. So we don't usually have like a citywide chapter. So each of our chapters are chartered per service area if there is an opportunity for us to service a new area that really hasn't been claimed or touched by one of the other chapters. So our oldest chapter in the area is actually Zeta Chi Omega, who just celebrated their 70th anniversary over the weekend, and they service Arlington and parts of Alexandria. We also have Lambda Kappa Omega, which services the larger part of Fairfax, Chi Beta Omega, which is in Falls Church, Virginia. I'm missing someone, Phi Nu Omega in Alexandria. So those are the main ones that are in Fairfax County. But then if you go deeper into the Woodbridge area, we've got chapters split up around there. So we chartered in Springfield and Lorton because a lot of our charter members live in the area and there is no chapter in Springfield and Lorton. You know how traffic can be trying to get from here to Arlington or here to the other side of Fairfax County. So we realized that there was a lack of connection and a lack of support for Black people within the Springfield and Lorton communities. And that's what got us started with forming an interest group and then chartering a chapter. So we're fairly young because, you know, there were not a lot of partnerships going on in the Springfield area. So we saw that opportunity and our 86 charter members took the reins and got us chartered in 2021.
Wow, thank you so much. I am asking selfishly because as a political action chair, having the desire to maybe partner with you all in some events. So your chapter within Fairfax County and another may be partner potential. So thank you very much.
Yeah. We'd love to partner. Absolutely. We have a whole connection and social action committee with an added emphasis under this administration for our Advocate for Social Justice initiative. So we'd love to collaborate. I think we partnered with you all and the League of Women Voters and the women,
Yes, you
I
did.
know their names. I'm missing but they wear the purple. I can't think of NCNW.
Right.
And we did the candidate forum this past fall, I believe. So we would love to get more connected and, you know, do another partnership this year, especially with the upcoming election in August.
Perfect. I will be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mary had to go back and rest. They are fighting for revitalization and the end of gentrification in some of these high areas. And they're also fighting for more dollars for affordable housing. So that's the nuts and bolts of what she wanted me to let you all know for this evening. We have Reese Glassman, our interim legal redress chair, who's also a soror. I don't know which chapter Reese is in. I'm sure she's going to tell us. But I wanted to introduce you all to Reese Glassman, our interim legal redress chair. She can give us a brief and let us know what's going on.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, this is Reese. Yes, I am a AKA. Hi, Sorors. Thank you for so much for all the work that you're doing to combat food insecurity. I agree, it is a problem and we need to address it immediately. Yes. So, as legal redress chair, we had Meredith, who has actually done an amazing video, letting everyone know about, our process. And if you have any questions about the process, um, so I can send that to anyone who has a question. So just let me know. And I think she's done a terrific job. And if you have any questions of me, I'll put my phone number, or I can just tell you my phone number, 703-405-9355. That's 405-9355. And you feel free to email me about any issues that you know about. It does come through our email, but sometimes I know people say it's a little slow. You can always just give me a call and shoot me a text, and I will respond.
Thank you. Okay. Now, the second part of our feature presentation will be our let's give the AKAs another round of applause because they are doing some amazing things. We just have to stop and pause and give them another round of applause when you talk about food insecurities and combating those things. So, thank you to the AKAs. Miss Lenore told me I couldn't put a pinky up, so sorry. Um, So now we will move over to the next part of our meeting with Secretary O'Brien. He has written, where's my book? I think I left my book downstairs, Mike. He has written two books. One, Not Be Moved, about the freedom fighters, and his second book is the Tougaloo Nine. And Mike has won a lot of awards for this book. He is our celebrity um, secretary, and we show him around and show him off everywhere we go. So, without further ado, we will have Mike and his presentation about the Tougaloo Nine. Thank you. I will go back on mute.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be able to share my research with you and the story of this book, which is getting a lot of good attention recently. I know Nikki showed her award from the Deltas. I always said that I wanted to be a Delta. If I could be any part of a sorority, I'd be wanting to be a Delta. But Miss Toombs now has turned my head, and I have got to really look closer at the alphas, AKAs. I mean, so this is a great realization that we got, wonderful, wonderful sororities in every direction, both the pink and the red. I'm going to try to share my screen. I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be, but let me, I think you saw it there for a minute, but I need to get let's do that. But then I think I still have to, is that going to be okay, Miss Lenore?
Yes, you should be able to share it. And we did see it for a minute. So just do what you
Yeah,
did
but
before. There you go.
but the thing is, it's not, I guess I'll just go down, I'll just go down the slides on the side. I don't know. It's not in the show mode. That's what I'm not sure how I can make it get in. Oh, hey, there we go. All right, all right. So here we are. So for the last dozen years or so, I have been working on this book about the very first demonstration that occurred in the state of Mississippi during the civil rights era. And it was a library sit-in. The book is called The Tougaloo Nine, the Jackson Library Sit-in at the Crossroads of Civil War and Civil Rights. I hear a beep going on or something. Is somebody's, there we go. Thank you. Um, and you'll see why that title comes into prominence a little bit later. But this is the story of how 9 students from Tougaloo College, a historically black college just outside of Jackson, found a way in a very kind of quiet, direct, and nonviolent way of challenging the entire system of Jim Crow simply by entering a library. And the story is about not just that, but the fireworks that ensued afterwards, and also the timing of it to kind of throw in the face of the heritage America, you might say, the kind of craziness that they were inflicting on their Black citizens. Um, I don't know if any of you, is anybody here familiar with Tougaloo College? Anybody?
Yes, I've been there.
Okay, Richard, all right,
I
right.
was in 1964 in the Freedom Summer. I was in Mississippi.
Is that right? Well, we're going to have to talk. We're going to have to talk. Well, Tougaloo College was really the heart of the resistance during the Jim Crow South in Mississippi. It was a privately run college run by the American Missionary Association, initially an abolitionist organization that turned its focus to education. I'm sorry? Turned its focus to education after the war. And it created some really impressive uh, higher learning institutions in just about every southern state, generally in the capital city. So you have Fisk in Nashville, you have Houston-Tillotson in Austin, Texas, you have Tougaloo here in Jackson, you have Dillard in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. So, it's an amazing organization that did great stuff for education. And people who went to Tougaloo from Mississippi would say that it was the only place in the entire state that they really felt free, and that they could say and do, what they felt as Black people in Mississippi. Now, I have a question for you. Does anybody know someone of prominence within our organization, the NAACP, who went to Tougaloo College? Just go ahead and unmute yourself if you know who that is. Nobody?
Joan Trumpower did, didn't she?
Joan Trumpower did, but she is not within our organization. She's not a member of the NAACP.
Oh, she isn't. Okay.
Not at this time. We're working on her. She is a Delta, however. The most important person in our organization,
Derek
Derek
Johnson.
Johnson. Yes, indeed. Went to Tougaloo College in the 90s. He's a proud Eagle, and I think it's an amazing testament to Tougaloo that it turns out people like Mr. Johnson. There's another very prominent politician who also went to Tougaloo. Anybody have some thoughts about who that might be? This is the audience participation part of the presentation. Well, that would be Congressman Benny Thompson from Mississippi also went to Tougaloo College. He went there from 64 to 68, Richard. He actually knew some of the Tougaloo Nine, and I was able to visit with him by phone, and then at his office, they gave me a tour of his office, and in the most prominent part of his office is a portrait of the Tougaloo Nine. And he told me by phone that because he sees them every day, they inspire him every single day to do his public service that he is involved in. So it's a testament to the legacy of the Tougaloo Nine that we have, they have projected themselves into the future. I'll tell you quickly how I got into this, having this job of writing the book in a little bit, but since we're talking about Tougaloo College, this is their chapel. It's the center point of the college. I just watched a little bit of their graduation exercises. They ring the bell that's in that tower at every graduation, and they would also ring it anytime there was a significant event going on with the college, particularly regarding civil rights in the 60s. This is the inside of the chapel, which has been totally restored thanks to some funds that Congressman Thompson was able to find for the college. But this is where the Tougaloo Nine and others met the very esteemed NAACP leader, Medgar Evers, who died of an assassin's bullet 2 years later. We're talking about 1961. March of 1961 is when the Tougaloo Nine did their original demonstration, which was a year after the Greensboro sit-in in North Carolina, and then all the sit-ins that happened afterwards. The issue was that nothing was happening in Mississippi. It was so locked down, it was so oppressed that people were afraid to step out. It was dangerous for them. And these 9 students just said, we're going to do it. But it was really with Medgar's support and assistance. He went to Tougaloo, talked up the fact that something had to start happening, and it probably should start happening here at Tougaloo since you're a private institution and the arm of the very oppressive state doesn't quite reach into the boundary of Tougaloo. The other person who was very instrumental with the students was Chaplain John Mangrum. He doesn't get a whole lot of attention these days, but he was really the one who taught the students about nonviolence, worked with them to make sure they didn't react if the police did anything harmful to them, or if a crowd of people gathered. But the idea was to do it in a library so that there wouldn't be a crowd of people. Libraries are quiet places, right? And you're always being shushed. So it was unlikely that a crowd would gather there. Here are the 9. I'm going to take you through really quickly just to give you their names because I think they deserve at least that. There are 3 contingents, one from Memphis, one from the Delta and Riverside, and one from Central and South Mississippi. We'll take you through real quick. This is Joseph Jackson Jr., who was the president of the NAACP chapter, a college chapter on campus. And this is totally an NAACP event. I really want to stress that. From beginning to end, SNCC hadn't gotten to Mississippi yet. CORE wasn't there. The Freedom Rides hadn't happened. This was before all of that. And it was totally an NAACP event driven by the chapter at the Tougaloo College and by Medgar Evers. So that's Joe Jackson. Also from Memphis was Ethel Sawyer and James Sammy Bradford. Now, Sam is the one who got me involved in this book. I was at an event where we were honoring my first book, the We Shall Not Be Moved, which was about the Jackson Woolworth sit-in that happened 2 years later. And I went up and shook Sammy's hand, and within 30 seconds, he was pulling me closer and says, I know why that Jackson Woolworth sit-in gets all the attention, because it was so dramatic. And then he looked me straight in the eyes and he said, but we were the first, and he really kind of invited me in to think about writing about their story, which now has come to fruition. Those from the Delta, Janice Jackson. I always have to remember how to say Janice and not Janet. Janice Jackson from Clarksdale, the home of the blues. Albert Lassiter, 6'5", Albert Lassiter from the Civil War town of Vicksburg, and Geraldine Edwards from the plantation capital of the world, Natchez, Mississippi. Those 3 were also part of the involvement, as was Alfred Cook from Edwards, Meredith Anding, only native Jacksonian in the group, and that was important because he had direct connections to Medgar. And then Evelyn Pierce from the Klan-infested town of Laurel, Mississippi, in South Mississippi. Here's the picture of the library. It still exists. It's still in the same spot. It's one of those brutalist 1950s concrete kind of buildings. This shows you how close it is to the state capitol, just a few blocks away. So it's right in the center of the power of the state of Mississippi. You have to kind of imagine there's not too many pictures of students actually arriving. So you kind of have to imagine them getting out of their cars right here on State Street to the right and walking up into those doors. Janice in particular said it was a surreal experience, even though she was probably the most confident of all of those who entered the library that day. She said when she went into that white space and realized she wasn't supposed to be there and didn't know exactly what was going to happen, she really had almost like an out-of-body experience, like, what am I doing here? What have I done, But she kept on moving. And what they did, just like Sammy Bradford is doing here, is they all just went to the stacks or went up to the librarian and picked out a book and sat down and started to read. That's as simple as it gets, right? The librarian, of course, called the police. The police showed up just about 10 minutes later. Very simple gathering. They just said, the police said, if you leave right now, we won't charge you with anything. And we'll just say this was a youthful indiscretion. So just if you just get up and leave now, there'll be no consequences. Of course, the whole idea was to have a legal case built around the sit-in. So they didn't get up until the police said, you're under arrest. And at that, they immediately stood up because they wanted to be charged with breach of the peace, which was a new law put on the books just a year before to try to stop these kinds of situations from occurring. They didn't want to get, if they stayed seated, they could have been charged with resisting arrest. And they wanted this to be a test case for that breach of peace law. So they all got up and started walking. You see Geraldine sitting down, that's Meredith in the front. You can see how tall Albert Lassiter is in the back. And way in the back, you can see Ethel just getting her book up. Now, there is a funny story about Ethel that she had her book, and when the police said, okay, you're under arrest, she went to close her book and realized for the whole time she'd been sitting there, it was upside down. so she said she was so embarrassed because she thought the police would see it and, make certain assumptions about the students. But years later, she started laughing about it. This is the only picture, and this is a video screen capture of the all 9 are in the picture, along with just about 9 police all around them, escorting them to the police vehicles. This is a picture that I think is fascinating from a number of perspectives. The police are trying to lecture the young women, and they are having none of it. If you look at Janice's face, if you look at Ethel's face in particular with her nose up in the air, she's having none of it. She says, don't talk to me, just get me where I'm going. I'm not going to have any of this. You shouldn't be keeping us out of the library. And that was one of the arguments that our parents, they were all Mississippi residents, except for Sam. They all had ties to Mississippi. We pay taxes. We should be allowed to be in this library just like everybody else. Here they are just getting ready to go into jail. Now, the interesting thing about this is this has a national NAACP connection as well. Roy Wilkins, just 10 days before, had issued a statement to all the branches in the country, and I'll just read it to you real quick. The NAACP has warned its units in 45 states that the outpouring of pro-South propaganda during Civil War centennial celebrations could undermine or strike a hard blow at our present-day movement towards equality. And in a special memorandum, the NAACP has advised countermeasures to be taken. What you don't know, and the reason the Civil War is listed in the title, is this was planned to really poke an eye in the face of those who were planning the Civil War centennial. And most people don't realize that the Civil War happened exactly 100 years earlier. The Civil Rights Movement happened, 1960 to 1965 was the student-led movement. Civil Wars 1861 to 1865. So these commemorations of the Civil War were happening all over the South at the very same time the Civil Rights Movement was going on. And Medgar and Mangrum planned this so that it would happen just before the Civil War centennial in Jackson, which was a major event. Here's what we got. Governor Ross Barnett coming up Capitol Street in a horse-drawn carriage, just like you might have seen in the 1800s. There was a huge parade on Capitol Street, the central business district of Jackson. Here's the largest Confederate flag ever made, belonging to the University of Mississippi, carried up Capitol Street. You see the old Capitol at the very top of the street to lead off this parade. It was the full Gone with the Wind kind of mythology on display. 3,000 Confederate people, dressed up like Confederate soldiers. There were 35,000 people on the street for the parade, largest parade ever in the state of Mississippi up until that time, with majorettes. I just want to show if my screen will do this. Do you see a little stuff here on the ground? The only Black people you would have seen that day were those who were cleaning up the poop that was left by the horses that were carrying um, the wagons up the street. Here's a picture of that. There was even a picture in the newspaper of these two Black men, probably city employees, scooping up the poop. That was the only Black people you would have seen on Capitol Street that day. Women, of course, dressed up as war widows or in their hoop skirts. Full Gone with the Wind. This is even a scene from Gone with the Wind that's being represented here in one of the displays. So, mint juleps and magnolias. Well, that went on all day. Not just the parade, but there was a pageant that was done with a reenactment of the secession. They had a tea at the governor's mansion, and then that evening they had not one, not two, but four Confederate balls that evening, where they really got decked out. In the meantime, the students are let go. The one thing you didn't know is that the students from the day before were not immediately let go. They were kept in jail all night long. They were kept overnight for 32 hours because the sheriff left town and said, I'm not going to accept the bail of these people. They're going to have to stay in jail. And so it was a harrowing night for them. And they were in jail while all this was going on. Between the break between the tea at the governor's mansion and the Confederate balls, the police let the Tougaloo Nine go. The bail had been paid, and they went back to a huge celebration with the bell ringing on campus to welcome them back. The very next day, they're brought to trial. So there's 3 major days: the day of the sit-in, the day of the Confederate parades, and then their trial is the very next day at the municipal court building downtown. And imagine this was a recent picture, but everything looks exactly the same. I don't think they had the railings up the stairs, but everything else was exactly the same as it would have looked. Imagine there were police dogs on either side. There were probably 25 police in this area protecting the building. When the students arrived, they tried to stop them from going in until somebody yelled out and said, "Hey, those are the defendants, let them through." There were so many people who wanted to get into the building, both Black and white. The police, after the courtroom filled up, had them stand across the street, of course, in segregated fashion. So Blacks on one side, whites on the other. When the students arrived and were starting to go up the stairs, the Black crowd, of citizens, peaceful, not doing anything wrong, just cheered and started clapping for the students. So finally, somebody is standing up. And the police went crazy. We would call what happened next was a police riot. They got their billy clubs out. They got the dogs chasing people away. Let's go to the next slide. This is one of the first evidences we have of police dogs being used against private citizens. They're not even demonstrating. They just happen to be waiting. So this is 2 years before Birmingham and America wakes up to the fact that dogs are being used against citizens. Here's another dog chasing a Black photographer who was trying to get into the courthouse and was chased away. Here's an older 81-year-old man whose arm was broken by a billy club, by him being beat by a policeman chasing him away from the courthouse. So, and that's Medgar, of course, pointing to it for a publicity photo for the NAACP. The FBI was brought in for the very first time, and this is Medgar's testimony. Of course, it's heavily redacted, but it shows you that for the first time, the federal government began to take this kind of stuff seriously, even though there were no serious consequences afterwards. At least we have the affidavits that were taken that day. Well, back at Tougaloo College, the students made it through their trial, were fined $100 each and 30 days in jail, but it was suspended if they would agree not to participate in any further demonstrations. That was really the mayor and the city politicos wanted to make sure that this didn't continue. They had no idea what was coming. The Freedom Rides would come 2 months later, and then the Tougaloo Nine got knocked off the front pages of the paper. But this was a really big deal at the time, and they felt that they needed to insist that there'd be no more demonstrations. So what could they do? They didn't want to spend the next 30 days in jail, so they said, okay. But here they are back at Tougaloo, happy and thrilled that they got out alive, frankly. Years later, of course, Jackson would embrace them. This was in 2017. A historic marker was put up right at the site of the library. You can see that at the left. There are some of them down at the bottom celebrating. That's Sammy Bradford to the left. I'll just go through Sammy, Janice, Ethel, Geraldine, Meredith. So many of them were there, and Alfred Cook, if you can see him. And at the Civil Rights Museum, now that is in Jackson, also opened in 2017, they have a wonderful display of the Tougaloo Nine in the Civil Rights Museum in Jackson. And right underneath their mugshots are the ones standing. So I think it's a pretty cool representation. Here they are when I interviewed them. This was Sammy and Al Lassiter. There's Geraldine pointing to herself. That's at Tougaloo College. Tougaloo has done a huge floor-to-ceiling mural of them at their Benny Thompson Civil Rights building. There's Ethel and Janice, best friends forever. They met on the bus on the way to Tougaloo. Neither one of them had ever been to Tougaloo, and somehow they happened to get on the same bus going to Tougaloo. Ethel from Memphis, Janice from Clarksdale, and they became best friends and stayed that way forever. Ended up in St. Louis. There's Evelyn Pierce, who's the only one I didn't get to really talk to. She had predeceased my involvement in the project, but she had a fascinating after story. She married the older brother of Malcolm X later in life, and did a lot of great work up in the Detroit area. Here I am with Meredith Anding, Joseph Jackson Jr., and yes, that's me in the middle, but that's Geraldine and Al Cook. Tougaloo has done them wonders and gave them an honorary doctorate degree in humanities in 2021 on the 60th anniversary of the event. So the book is the Tougaloo Nine, and I have something to show you if you can see this. It won the Mississippi Historical Society Book of the Year Award for 2026. So it's a big honor for me to have been able to put this thing together, and I'm thrilled that I had a chance to share it with you. Thank you. Thank you, President Nikki. The QR code is you can get more information about the book if you go there.
That's awesome, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you. Who is that? Iris?
Yes.
Iris, you've done some research on Mississippi, haven't you?
Yes. Well, I did most of mine on South Carolina.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But Mississippi is a part of the South, that deep South in the Civil Rights Movement. Ugh. Yep.
And
they
the
go
fact
hand
that
in hand.
it overlapped with the Civil War centennial. It's such a weird
Oh,
combination.
wow.
And I call it's like the heritage America versus the multicultural America. Like they're doing battle there, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Are any questions for our secretary, Mike? Mike, do you have a link to your book that you can put in the chat?
I could that QR code will take you there though.
It'll take you straight there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Mike, I have a question. Excuse me. I read the first one first and I haven't gotten to the second one, but if someone has both of them and they haven't read either, do you recommend they read Tougaloo 9 first?
Well, I call the Tougaloo Nine a prequel to the first book because you can read either one. I'll be happy if you have either one. But the first one was really a very, as Sammy said, it was a very dramatic sit-in, and it's an iconic photograph that's on the cover. and it's a page turner. And this one, I didn't feel like I had given enough attention to the earlier development of the movement. And that's why I wrote this one. And it really does help give the background of how we came to that apex of the Woolworth sit-in. One quick note, this in July, NAACP gives out an annual award, and now I'm trying the Spingarn Medal, which is their like top award for community engagement and civil rights work, and it is going to a gentleman, Reverend Amos Brown, who got his start by starting the Youth Council in Jackson, Mississippi in 1957. And he has an amazing career. He was at Morehouse while this was going on, but he got his start with Medgar in Mississippi in 1957 and 58 and went on to great work. Now he's in San Francisco. So it's a kind of a full circle thing for me, and I'm hoping to be there when he gets that. But I think either book, you can start with either book. Doesn't matter.
Okay, Les has his hand up. We're going to take maybe two more questions, and after that, you all are going to have to reach out to Mike. You have a private email that you can share with everyone, and they
I
have
will do that. Yeah. Let me stop my share and then we'll get into the chat.
and
I have your book, of course, and I mean, it's really well written. I really learned quite a bit from it. Since you traveled to Jackson, I mean, I'm always curious. I mean, it's a majority Black city. People like President Johnson come from there, I believe. Yet when it comes to the political power, I mean, I read about how, the water system, supply systems there is inadequate, that there are a lot of issues in that community, given the history, the rich history that Jackson has. And I'm kind of straying from Tougaloo, I know, but I'm just curious what your take is on Jackson of today.
Well, you're right. President Johnson was actually from Michigan, the Detroit area, but when he went to Tougaloo, he was exposed to all of the kind of interesting mix that Jackson makes up, and he was actually the state field secretary, I guess, for lack of a better name, for Mississippi for the NAACP. That's kind of his stepping stone to get to where he is now. Jackson, what happened in Jackson, obviously, once the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the Vital Rights Act of 65 came around, most white people left Jackson. I mean, they just fled out to the suburbs. And so the economic base really just crumbled. I mean, there was the taxes dried up. There was no money to put into infrastructure, and so there were a lot of things happened just because of white flight. There's been a serious effort to rehabilitate the city since the 90s. I think the first Black mayor, was in the 90s. But there's been a real effort. But now, frankly, the central part of Jackson has now been taken over by the state, basically. There's the central business district and the central political area where all the, major, the Capitol and the Supreme Court and all those buildings has been taken over as a special kind of police district, they call it. So there's a lot of weird things going on in Jackson. You're right, the water system has been horrible for years. It's not been horrible. They really put a lot of money into it, but it was so complicated. They didn't have anybody knew how to run it. So it kind of deteriorated because they didn't have enough money to pay somebody to keep it operational. I think it's actually, there are good things happening in Jackson now. I think people have realized this is a serious issue. We have to take it seriously. So, I'm hopeful long term that whole situation is going to turn around. But right now, it is a majority Black. It's the largest majority Black city in the country, percentage-wise anyway.
All right, we could take one more and then we're going to have to close out. If there is one more. Going once, going twice. Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you to the AKAs for this wonderful, wonderful double feature for our May's meeting. Chair Pat, we're going to have you close us out with a prayer, and then I will call the meeting to adjourn. If you are on XCOM, please stay on. XCOM, 5 minutes. Chair Pat.
Yes. Let us look to the Lord. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this meeting. Strengthen our commitment, renew our energy, and keep us mindful of the responsibility we share to uplift and advocate for all. We pray for those who are suffering from food insecurity, provide for their needs, and guide us to be generous, compassionate, and willing to help. Bless each person in this meeting with a peaceful and blessed night. And we lift up our families and all who may be sick among us, granting them comfort, healing, and strength. Bless us all until we meet again. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
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 Okay, can someone make the motion to adjourn the meeting? XCOM stay.
President Zimmerman, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second this, Les Shockley.
Thank you. All in favor of adjourning our May's general membership meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any discussion, any abstentions? Have a great night, everyone. XCOM stay on for 5 minutes, if that.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So stop recording.